This is The Space Shot, episode 344 for April 23rd, 2018, World Book Day. I'm John Molnix. I'll have the show notes from my talk at the Cosmosphere up soon. I'm working on an article covering educational resources, and I want to post both of those together. As soon as I'm done, I'll be sure to update everyone here and on social media. I'm getting back into the swing of things after vacation, and one of those things that helps me center myself is reading. I read a lot of history, nonfiction works, science fiction, and scientific literature for this podcast. I've got a few book recommendations in honor of World Book Day, so let's get started. I finished the fourth book of the Expanse series of books. Cibola Burn was yet another fantastic novel in this 9-part series. If you're into science fiction, I can't recommend this series enough. Plus, if you get to reading the books, you can get ahead of where the exceptional sci-fi series is at on TV and be one of those people that read the book first. Yesterday, I decided I was ready for some nonfiction. I started the book Bringing Columbia Home by Michael Lienbach and Jonathan Ward. I'd snagged this book a while ago, but have been too busy to read it up until now. I'm sad I waited so long to start it. I'm about a third of the way through now, and I had to pause reading to record today's episode. As soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to get it edited ASAP so I can get back to reading. This book provides a look at one of the toughest chapters in American spaceflight history, the Columbia disaster. I remember hearing the radio reports when Columbia broke up on re-entry, and I was in the car with my mom and sisters when this happened. Getting home that night, I remember seeing the news reports coming through and watching the footage of the orbiter breaking up. It's heartbreaking and sobering to read about this mission in greater detail than I ever have before, and I would still recommend picking up this book, even though it is a little bit tough to read at times. Another book I've got a recommendation for today is Star Lore of All Ages by William Tyler Alcott. I had quoted from this book in my recent talk at the Cosmosphere. This book is available for free on archive.org, so if you're interested in learning more about the stars, mythology, and the stories behind the constellations, check it out. For some non-space related books, I've been reading a few different titles. The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday is something I've talked about before, and it's a great daily reader if you're interested in learning more about Stoicism. I'm also reading through Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. Seneca was a Roman philosopher, orator, intellectual, and important statesman. His philosophical works range on discussions from time-saving to fasting to discussions on reading. As someone who tends to buy a lot of books and reads nearly all of them, this passage spoke to me. Quote, "Since you cannot read all the books which you may possess, it is enough to possess only as many books as you can read. But, you reply, I wish to dip first into one book and then into another. I tell you that is the sign of an overnice appetite to toy with many dishes, for when they are so manifold and varied, they cloy, but they do not nourish. So you should always read standard authors, and when you crave a change, fall back upon those whom you've read before. Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. This is my own custom. From the many things which I have read, I claim some one part for myself." One of the things I've decided to embark upon with Season 2 of the podcast is going into more detail on topics, focusing on nourishing, in-depth conversations and discussions now that we've had a broad overview of space history. I hope all of you find time to read today. I know the more I read, the more I write. It's a virtuous cycle that makes future reading and writing even more enjoyable. Tomorrow, Hubble launches. I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day. I appreciate each and every one of you that listen to the podcast every day. I'd be incredibly grateful if you could share the podcast with your friends and family. Tag one of them and let them know about your favorite episode. I'd also really appreciate it if you could venture into the Apple Podcasts app or your podcast app of choice and leave a review for The Space Shot. A steady stream of reviews helps ensure The Space Shot is more visible in the Apple Podcasts app. As always, the show notes have more information on today's episode. You can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. Find me at John Molnix. I'm always up to chat. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Just search The Space Shot or check out the links in the show notes and you'll find me. I'm John Molnix, and I'll catch you on the flip side.